Well, hey, what's up, parents? Thank you so much for joining us for another Woods Youth Update. Thank you for doing the hardest job on the planet, raising your teenager. You're with me in the basement, which is our Wild Game Dinner collection room. Yes, it is that season, that time of the year, January. It is a new year, 2024. I hope you are ready and excited for all that God is doing. Hey, just wanted to touch base and give God praise for all that he did at our winter retreat. We had probably the second most we've ever taken, so a huge group, but more than just the number of people who went, we had incredible encounters with the Lord. There were so many students who grew in their pursuit of the Lord, in just doing different things that challenged them, put them out of their comfort zone. There was freedom found in different areas. There was sins confessed. There was healing, but better than everything, there was salvation. There were multiple students who decided for the very first time that they were going to follow Jesus. And so that is absolutely why we do what we do, and it was an amazing trip. So many of you guys came along with us as kitchen crew. I'm just going to publicly thank you. Your name should scroll on the screen if I can figure out how to do that. But thank you guys so much for coming and being a part of that with us. Well, hey, we've got a bunch of stuff coming up, and I want to talk to you about our family meeting. This is only the second time we've ever done this, so this is a little bit new. But here's what I know. I know that you want the best for your student. I know that you want them to thrive and you want them to follow Jesus. But oftentimes that's a little bit easier said than done. And if we're honest with ourselves, most of the time we don't act intentionally until there's a problem. And I don't say that to shame you. I'm the same way. Oftentimes when things are going right, we don't need to pay too much attention until we do. And oftentimes that's a little bit too late. And so the theme for this family meeting is having a set of values that you can instill in your student. So I don't know if you know this or not, but we all have values, whether you've named them or not. Whatever we prioritize becomes a value, and we want to name these things. We want to identify these things for our kids so they know what's important, so they know whether or not they are on a track that is leading them towards Jesus. This is what I tell our students all the time, and I think it goes good for parents as well. Everybody ends up somewhere, but not everybody ends up somewhere on purpose. And so in our family meeting, we're going to help you guys develop a set of values that will make sure that you have your kids end up somewhere on purpose. And so we are having our meeting this Sunday after each service. So we're going to be in the ministry center after the 9 o'clock service, after the 11 o'clock service. We'll have light refreshments. We want to invite you to come and be a part of that. It'll be a great time to connect. We don't always get as much FaceTime as I would like, so I would really love it if you guys would come and connect with us after service this Sunday for the family meeting. Well, hey, one of the things that you can do to help your student grow is get them involved in youth leadership. I know this for me. I want my kid to be a leader, not because I want him to have status or to be in charge, but I want him to act and think like Jesus. Jesus was someone who wasn't just a consumer, but a contributor. He was someone that took ownership, responsibility, who saw the needs of others and acted on them. And that's what we want in leadership. We want to train students to be like Jesus. And so youth leadership is a group on top of midweeks that allows students to go deeper in their faith. We're going to disciple them in how to pray, how to hear the voice of the Lord, and we're going to stretch them and grow them. And here's the deal. This isn't for the faint of heart. This isn't a social event just to come and connect and another thing to add on your calendar. This is a way for students who are hungry for more of God to be discipled in greater ways. And so we meet every other Sunday, bi-weekly, after church. 12:30 to 2:30. It is a commitment. It is a sacrifice, but ultimately that's what leadership is. It is a sacrifice for those who are willing. Again, this is what I tell our students, and this is what Jesus told us. Many are called, but few are chosen. That doesn't mean I'm only choosing a few of you our students, it means you're all called, you're all invited, but we are only choosing the ones that raise their hand and say yes. And so we want to make you aware that registration is open for the next 2 weeks, and then we'll close at the end of the month when we'll have our first meeting on January 26th. I believe that's the date, but there'll be links to register for that down below, and you can do that in the Church Center app as well. Well, hey, we've got a few different fun events coming up in February. We are going to be starting a new series called Purple, which all has to do with relationships. Now, last year, if you've been with us for a while, we went deep into what God says about sex and pornography and some of these areas. This is not going to be quite as deep as that. It's going to focus primarily on relationships, dating, what the scripture says, and best practices for your students. We're very practical this year. So I want to make you aware of that. We'll have a Gender Wars late night coming up in February. We've got an afterglow where we are planning broom ball outside and ice skating if the weather permits. If not, we'll be letting you know on all of our social channels. And if you get our text updates, updates on what we're doing for our February Afterglow. I hope you're loving the season that we're in with Sacred Rhythms. I hope you've got your presence-driven prayer devotional that you've been diving in. I believe today is week 8, and I hope you are sharing that with your family as well. Well, hey, I'm in this room downstairs in the basement. Maybe you've never seen it before, but this is where we get ready for Wild Game Dinner. Yes, a month before the event happens, we are collecting donations. We are inputting them into our system. We are tagging them, getting them ready to go. There are almost 1,000 items that come in. Maybe that's a little high. In between 500 and 1,000 items comes in. It is a huge deal for us. And so we've got kayaks and coolers and race cars and all kinds of different fun things. And so I'm not going to explain what Wild Game Dinner is, but here's what you need to know right now. This is our biggest fundraiser of the year. We're hoping students can make enough money to go on our missions trip as well as our summer trip, which we'll be talking about in just a moment. I want you to know that tickets are sold out, and so there are no more tickets available, but you can still help. We need parents that will come on Wednesday nights for the few Wednesdays in January coming up to help sort these items, and then we need parents to serve on the days of the dinner. Now, I want you to go ahead and pat yourself on the back. We've already got 26 of you have already signed up to help. That is amazing. You guys are incredible. We also need you to sign your student up to serve. In order for them to get credit, they need to get donations. And there's a packet available that they can grab on a Wednesday night or Sunday morning. It's going to give you all the instructions. But we need them to sign them up for 2 shifts, a serving shift and a setup shift. And guess what? We've already got 41 students registered. It's a beautiful thing as a youth pastor when we are a month out and so many of you have got it together. We all know who we can thank for that. Pastor Franklin, he's on top of communicating to you guys. He does an amazing job. And I know those numbers are because he communicates so well. Okay, so what are these funds going to help your students raise money for? Let's talk about Summer Trip 2024. Maybe you're regular, maybe you skipped everything else we talked about, but this is what we're doing. If you are new to the Woods Youth, we have summer trips that are absolutely incredible and absolutely life-changing. We go big, and we have 2 main goals when we go on a summer trip. One, we intentionally design everything to help students build relationships with their peers. We know that God called us to do faith, to do church in community. This is not an event we attend, but a family to belong to. And that's difficult when you only meet a couple hours a week. And so summer trip, man, we are going all in and getting to know each other through shared meals, sleeping, next to each other, waking up together. You get to know people at just such a deeper level. Secondly, well, it should be first, but in no order. Secondly, we want students to grow in their relationship with the Lord. So it is about prayer, teaching students to pray, discipling them, helping them understand how to hear the voice of the Lord, be obedient, find freedom. all of these things. And now normally we go attend a youth conference. Well, there'll be speakers and live worship, and it's incredible. And we're joined with thousands of other teenagers. This year is going to be a little bit different. Due to scheduling conflict and calendar dates, we are not going to be attending the Bold Conference, which we typically do. But we have an amazing week planned for your teenager where in a lot of ways I'm excited because there's not this emotional high of other people seeking the Lord. It's going to be more challenging, and we're going to provide time for your student to seek after the Lord, to spend time in His Word, to develop daily habits of prayer on their own, and then we're going to spend time in groups, holding each other accountable, reporting to what God is doing in us and through us and what He's speaking, and we're going to spend time in His presence through prayer and worship. And we're going to do that in the state of Washington. Like I said, we like to do things that are incredible, and so we're going to travel somewhere where your student might never be able to have the chance to go. We've rented a home, and we're bringing some of our kitchen staff that's going to prepare meals for them and allow them to be in a setting that they can focus on nothing else but Jesus. And I am so excited. We're going to have a lot of times of fun. We're going to be able to enjoy many of the national parks in the area: Olympic National Park, Mount Rainier, North Cascades National Park. We're going to go to the Pacific Coast, and it's going to be an absolute incredible time. Now, we are going to fly from Detroit to Seattle, and then we're going to rent vans once we're there, and we've got a house rented that will house us all. And this trip's going to be a little bit more costly. Everything is more expensive. Van rentals are expensive. Flights are expensive. When we go as a group, it's not a discount. They charge us more. And so the cost of the trip, my goal is to be below $1,200. And that's going to change based on how much we can get airfare for. We've got a calls into a couple of airlines that we're going to negotiate the price, and we're trying to keep that down as low as possible, but I want everyone to be prepared up to $1,200 just so that there's no surprises. Now, because we are flying, this takes a bigger commitment on your part because we need everybody fully committed and a deposit in by March 6th. So registration is going to be open at the beginning of February, and it'll be open for 1 month, and there won't be any signups later on in the game because we won't be able to get you on the same flight. And so we are hoping you would consider this. You've got about 6 to 7 weeks to decide as a family, and my hope is that what you make through the Wild Game Dinner will be able to be that deposit for you. Obviously, I can't cover every detail of the trip, so I'm sure you have some questions or concerns, especially if you have never sent your student on a trip with us. I would be more than happy to talk you through the details, everything that we're going to do, any questions that you might have to put you at ease, to allow your student to come on this life-changing adventure with us. We would love to have that conversation with you. So again, more information is all in the links below. Don't forget to share this to help us spread our influence to parents that you might know. And again, thank you so much for doing the hardest job raising your teenager. My prayer is that you would continue to passionately pursue God and relentlessly reveal Jesus to your kids.